warm welcome to News Now. I am Fidelia Agoncha. Across the world, the International Press Freedom Day is being celebrated today. To commemorate the day in Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari has charged journalists in the country to be fair and accurate while reporting. President Buhari gave the charge in a statement released by his special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina. In the statement, the president reaffirmed the commitment of his administration to promoting the principles of transparency and press freedom. The theme of this year's World Press Freedom Day is Nigeria Media for Democracy, Journalism and Election in Times of Disinformation. And as Nigeria joins the world to celebrate the International Press Freedom Day, journalists are seeking ways to end the spread of fake news and combat attacks on the press. Adesha Odushoga has more.
The press, popularly referred to as the fourth arm of a democratic government, is expected to have unlimited freedom to perform its civic duties. But this is far from the case in some countries across the world. Formerly ranked 119 on the World Press Freedom Index, Nigeria this year dropped by 1 point, and reason is not far-fetched. In January 2019, the Nigerian army invaded the Maiduguri and Abuja offices of one of the country's top media organization, Daily Trust, over the publication of an article warning of an impending Boko Haram attack on a town. As we join the world to celebrate the International Press Freedom Day, the big question on the mind of many is how effective is the Freedom of Information Act?
I was working as a reporter and a columnist with Climax magazine, and I was a society editor as well. So I remember we did a couple of stories that really got into trouble, but I was lucky I wasn't jailed. But those are in the past. It's been on and off, during the military it was very rough. Very, very rough for a lot of us who were in the struggle then, and some had to, they fled the country, they travel abroad because of, stigmatization, of course, because of the fact that the security agency were running after them. They have to, leave the country at some point. But some who waited, and now are involved in democracy, and now we're in the process of making it real, and with the Freedom of Information Act now, but it's not really very much implemented, but we're even lucky.
As much as there is an advocacy for the freedom of information, the advent of digital journalism, particularly the social media, have become vulnerable platforms for disinformation. This is eminent in the just concluded 2019 general elections.
It's an ill wind that blows no one but good. Yes, we can regulate, but politicians will use it to their own advantage. Because if they regulate, they will tag the press in a way. So there has to be a way, maybe via the parliament or an act of the parliament or through the National Assembly. Now, what you can do with your stories on the social media, to what extent you can go. They can provide solutions, they can come out with a regulation that look okay, or they can set up a regulatory body for news, for the media, to check stories, to check the authenticity of stories, and enlighten media organization on how to go about fake news and all that, because fake news can destroy a country. Just one piece of news can cause civil disobedience. So we have to be careful on what we bring out to the member public.
The 2019 World Press Freedom Day seeks to address challenges faced by the media in elections, along with media potential in supporting peace and reconciliation processes. Journalists in Nigeria on this day are charging the government to put an end to restriction of information circulation and dissemination and assaults on journalists. Adesha Odushoga, TV360, Lagos.
The People's Democratic Party, PDP, wants President Muhammadu Buhari to cut short his private visit to the United Kingdom and return back to the country immediately. The party, in a statement by its spokesperson, Kola Ologbadiyan, said it is paramount for the president to come back and address the worsening security situation in Nigeria. It further noted that the president's absence has emboldened insurgents and bandits to continue to carry out attacks across the country. Now, there has been growing attacks by bandits and other criminal elements across Nigeria in the past few days. Now, this has forced lawmakers in the National Assembly to summon the president and the Inspector General of Police. The federal government is set to build 7 model schools in states across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. To this effect, the sum of 4.6 billion naira has been approved by the Federal Executive Council for the construction of the structures. Briefing journalists at the end of the meeting in Abuja, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, said the schools will be constructed in Abuja, Katsina, Nasarawa, Edo, Lagos, Bauchi and Imo State, respectively. The move is poised to improve the country's education system and address the growing number of out-of-school children.
There was also approval for the award of contract for the construction of 7 model schools, 1 in each zone of the Federation and 1 in Abuja Capital Territory. The awards, the model school will be built in FCT Abuja, another in Imo State, another in Katsina State, another in Bauchi, and another in Edo, Lagos, and Nasarawa, representing the 6 geopolitical zones, for a total sum of 4,602,861,366 naira.
The federal government has also reaffirmed its commitment to improving the country's health sector with the approval of 4.6 billion naira for the supply of antiretroviral drugs to Nigerians living with HIV. The approval was given at the Federal Executive Council meeting held in Abuja on Thursday. Announcing the approval, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, said the contracts for the supply of the drugs were awarded in 2 phases.
Council also approved the award of contracts for the supply of first-line antiretroviral medicine for the National Agency for the Control of AIDS. This is a contract for that the National Agency for the Control of AIDS, in a bid to fulfill its core mandate of coordinating the national HIV response, providing guidance to and implementing and coordinating the entire HIV issue presented to Council today. And Council approved the award of contract for the supply of first-line antiretroviral medicine for the National Agency for the Control of AIDS to 3 different locations, namely the Federal Central Store in Oshodi, the Central Medical Store in Umahia and Abia State, and also the Central Medical Store in Jalingo, Taraba.
A member of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), Adeshaye Ogunlewe, has announced that he will be leaving the party in the next 30 days. Ogunlewe is a former senator and Minister of Works. Speaking during an interview on Friday, the former minister said he decided to leave the PDP owing to the growing crisis in the party and its lack of direction. Ogunlewe also announced that after his exit, he will pitch tent with the ruling All Progressives Congress. The news comes days after his son, Moyoshere Ogunlewe, defected from the PDP to the APC. Community leaders and residents in Agidingbi area of Lagos State have rejected the ruling of the Supreme Court in Abuja, which awarded ownership of 398 acres of landed property in the community to the Akinole Oshiun family. The residents who staged the protests to the State House of Assembly say the Akinole Oshiun family has given them a 7-day ultimatum to vacate their houses. They are now urging the federal government and the state government to quickly intervene in the matter. The possession order given by the Supreme Court is set to cover a large section of the Latif Jakande Road, Acme Road, Fagba Close, and other streets around the area, totaling over 2,000 buildings.
Self-possession paper and getting all the possession paper. So immediately I asked my boss that they should leave them, they should not fight them. So let them go. We take our step. We don't even know them. We are not relative. We don't even. I never cause of them since I was born in Agidini. But what I know is that I saw the judgment that they won. Well, you are no person. I want government to help us, that we don't want bloodshed in my community. That's what I am here for.
I was born 83 years ago at Agidingbi village. It was a village, thick village then. My grandmother was born there. My great-grandfather was born there. And we've never had any history. Nobody told us any history about Akiole. We only heard about them 2003. How could they wake up 2003 and say they are the owner of the place? Are they bigger than the Lagos state government that excised that place for us? Why should we negotiate with anybody? Yes. I think since the government has given us a CFO.
Place to us. They have exercised that place to us. And we have a CFO. We are paying land use. We are paying. So who will just come today now and say he's the owner of that place?
Some Lagos residents, under the umbrella of South-South People's United Forum in the All Progressives Congress, is urging the governor-elect of the state to include them in his cabinet. They made the call during a press conference organized to congratulate the governor-elect, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. According to the group, South-South residents in Lagos State have been highly marginalized by the previous governments.
We have been with the state party, that is the politics of the state, for a very long time, since the time of AD, when Tinubu was when Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was the governor. So he is the one who even created all these group for him to be able to assess everybody in Lagos State to contribute their quota for the politics of Lagos State.
We, the youths from the South-South, we are aware that Lagos State is the center of excellency, and of recent is a grooming ground for leaders. We have seen antecedents of how many our national party leader has groomed. So on that note, we, the youth from the South-South, our heart and our mouth is open, pleading that he should take us as a project so that we will be prepared for tomorrow, because we believe in his leadership.
The Lagos State Coordinator of the National Youth Service Corps, Mohammed Momo, says the federal government is yet to release a circular ordering the implementation of the newly approved minimum wage for Corps members. The federal government had in April approved a new minimum wage for workers in the country, but the directive is yet to be implemented in the payment of allowance for Corps members by the NYSC. But in an interview on Friday, Momo said the service is waiting for the federal government to give it the go-ahead to begin the implementation of the new law. The former Director General of the service, Sule Kazuri, had earlier in the year assured that there would be an increase in Corps members' allowance in accordance with the increment in national workers' wage. A total of 540 persons died, while 3,383 others were injured in 950 road traffic crashes across Nigeria in the month of January 2019. And this is according to the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC. The agency, in its monthly road traffic crash report signed by the Corps Marshal Boboye Oyeyemi, said the figures indicate a decrease of 21% in fatality. It said it also showed 14% decrease in crash cases and 14% decline in the number of people injured in the month under review as compared to December 2018. Now, according to the report, Lagos-Ibadan Road recorded the highest number of road crashes, with 57 cases representing 11% decline from that of December. You're still watching News Now on TV360 Nigeria. We'll bring you more stories after this break. Don't go away.
House the crash was recently crashed in the night from concerted the government non-simplified.
And that our work is not only from Nigeria, where voters are what choose to have from the ballot.
That election has been postponed and Nigerians have reacted.
The area of Lagos has entered
Some minutes say the incident has been managed.
This morning, we have
Welcome back. The MTN Group says it has appointed Lamido Sanusi, Emir of Kano and former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, as a non-executive director on its board. In a statement released on Friday, the Johannesburg-based telecommunications company also announced the appointment of Msebisi Jonas, South Africa's former deputy finance minister, as chairman. Jonas will replace Putuma Nkleko, its present chairman, who is scheduled to step down in December. MTN also announced that it has appointed a separate board for advice on broader African issues. This board will be headed by Thabo Mbeki, former South African president, John Kufuor, former Ghanaian president, and Nkleko, its outgoing chairman, will be members of the board. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) has opened 2019 direct sale of crude oil and direct purchase (DSDP) to its local and international business partners and potential off-takers and suppliers. The group managing director of the NNPC, Mekanti Baru, who set the process in motion, said the essence of the bidding was to ensure reputable, qualified companies were engaged. At the opening, 132 companies came bidding for about 14 billion liters of product under the DSDP scheme. Barry explained that the process was to ensure that a selection of off-takers aligned with transparent and accountable procedures in compliance with the Public Procurement Nigerian Content Act. Oil prices dipped on Friday, paving the way for a weekly decline as surging U.S. output was expected to start hitting global markets soon. Brent crude oil futures were at $70.49 a barrel, down by 26 cents, while U.S. crude futures were down by 11 cents at $61.61 a barrel. Brent is set for a weekly fall of over 2%, while U.S. crude has declined almost 2.5% so far, its second straight weekly drop. Now, U.S. crude oil production reached a record 12.3 million barrels per day last week, rising by around 2 million barrels per day over the past year. And to the stock market, it was another bullish market today at the NSE, as the market appreciated by 0.14%, which is an improvement from yesterday's 0.04% rise seen. And the all-share index is closing the week at 29,212 basis points, while the market value stands at 10.97 trillion naira, and that's a decline of over 100 billion naira compared to how the market started the week. Partly inspiring this rise is Seplat PLC, which is appreciating by 0.85%. It is closely followed by Cement Company of Northern Nigeria, Guarantee Trust Bank, and Fitzin Healthcare PLC. However, on the flip side, we have Total leading the pack of losers, accruing the biggest loss in the market today. Also losing heavily is Dangote flour, which dropped by 1.8 naira, and coming in third and fourth on the chart is Mobil and Eternal Oil, both from the oil and gas industry, which fell by 0.41%. In summary, more than 350 million shares worth over 2.3 billion naira were transacted in 4,270 deals. Let's now move to the global scene. It was also a green day for the FTSE 100 and the Dow Jones, both closing in the positive territory. Well, we'll take another short break here and return with news from the foreign and sports scene. Don't go away. Four women and 5 children died on Friday after their migrant boat sank off the Turkish coast. Now, this was announced in a statement released by the Coast Guard. The statement said the boat went down off Balıkesir province in western Turkey. It, however, failed to unveil the nationality of those on board. 5 other passengers were saved from the boat, which was heading to the Greek island of Lesbos. Now, the boat has been carrying 17 people, and it was not immediately clear what happened to the rest. Turkey has around 4 million migrants and refugees, mostly Syrians, and is also a key transit country for those fleeing Middle East towards Europe. And to sports, stakeholders in the sports sector have been reacting to the current state of Nigeria's National Stadium in Lagos. The stadium, which was completed in 1972, was the nation's #1 center for sporting excellence, and it has hosted numerous high-profile sporting events. Unfortunately, the stadium is now a mere shadow of itself, as the nation's national football teams now move around different cities in the country to play their matches. In an interview with TV360 Nigeria, sports editor Kunle Sholaja bears his feeling about the state of the stadium.
Well, I can recall when the stadium was first opened in 1973, December 4, 1972. When it was first opened. For the first time, we have a stadium with turnstile that you can, at the end of the match, you can actually count, give a specific number of people in attendance. And that time, that was the biggest stadium in Africa then, especially in West Africa, so to say. It was built purposely for the Second World War Games in 1973. Matches there were so inviting. You sit comfortably, you watch your matches, the lightings were good, the electronic scoreboard was okay, even though it was not the Videomatric, which was the order of the day in the 1990s. So you also go flashback to 1980 when we won the 12th edition of the African Nations Cup. The stadium was still okay, because as at that time, the stadium was barely 8 years old. And there's some maintenance, degree of maintenance still going on. But now you go to National Stadium, it's more of a social ground for parties, for religious purposes, for even miscreants. That's where you find them, hoodlums. I'm sure if you come that places where we see that even armed robbers will have their own location there, where after they must have gone to rob, they have a place they can hide and share their loot and everything. So, and it is an eyesore considering the fact that it is at the center of a city, not at the outskirts. And the impression the stadium gives is very, very bad.
And that's the size of our bulletin tonight on News Now. Remember, you can be a part of the conversation simply by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as on YouTube. The handle is TV360 Nigeria. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.